I'm Tass Mellis of The Starters.
This is Ben Golliver with the Open Floor Podcast.
Hi, I'm Kristen Ludlow from NBA Inside Stuff.
I'm OG Anunoby of the Toronto Raptors.
Hey, I'm Elena Donon, and welcome to the Double Clutch.
Double Clutch.
Double Clutch. Double Clutch.
Double Clutch Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, basketball fans of all ages, welcome to the Double Clutch Podcast with me, Huw Hopkins, back with another WNBA edition of the show. This week we have one of the best young point guards in the league from the Connecticut Sun. It is Courtney Williams. And we have a good conversation touching on a couple of different topics, including how the team is getting on in its preseason games and how she has championship hopes for the squad, despite losing last year's leading scorer on the team, Chiney Ogwumike. We also touch on the differences between the respect level that women get while playing in Europe and the United States, but also how the WNBA is growing the game by showing some of these games on Twitter this year. It's a really great show, and we're really grateful for Courtney giving us the time of day. So you know what, I won't keep you from her any longer. Here is Courtney Williams. Pre-season has already started. How are you enjoying being back with the team?
Oh yeah, I love it. You know, being back with this group of girls, it's an amazing team. Chemistry good up, you know, adding in different pieces. So, you know, it's exciting. I'm excited to get going into the real regular season.
You've had a couple of preseason games already. You've played New York Liberty, had a pretty easy win, and then you just lost out against the Dallas Wings. But how much stock do you tend to put into preseason games?
You know, we like to take it serious just to, you know, get ourselves back going. But ultimately, you know, it's more, I think, to you know, look at the younger kids coming in and other people, you know, that could benefit our team, but also, you know, getting back into somewhat of a flow with playing with that core group of people as well. And, you know, and also scouting and getting film and kind of getting familiar with, you know, certain lineups and different schemes that other WNBA teams are going to run against us as well. Yeah,
and how's the team coming together on that? WNBA preseason is so short. Do you feel confident going into games by the time the season starts? I mean, you've been going for a couple of years now. How confident do you tend to feel, and how confident do you feel in this year in comparison to previous years?
Oh, no, I'm super confident, and I'm excited. Like I said, we bringing back our core group of people. You know, we recently just lost Chiney Ogwumike.
Yeah.
But ultimately, we still have a solid base with our team, bringing back players that been playing together for 3-4 years. So, you know, our chemistry is already there. We know who we're playing with, and we're familiar with how one another plays. So I'm super excited.
Good. Because you had a pretty good run last year. You know, you finished with I think it was the 4th best record in the league at the end. The tough thing about WNBA playoffs, of course, is the first couple of rounds is single game elimination, which it makes it exciting for fans and more intense for teams. But losing like that, it must be frustrating when you're on the losing end of a single game elimination. How were you feeling at the end of last season?
I think we all kind of felt disappointed because not only did we lose in that same round last year, we also lost to the same exact team. So I think that in itself was pretty disappointing. But, you know, ultimately we have to just, you know, keep moving forward, keep looking forward, and just keep, you know, growing and doing the little things that's going to make us better as a team so we can get over that hump this year.
You mentioned it earlier, you have lost quite a big player, which, you know, Chiney Ogwumike is, but, you know, a pretty solid force on the basketball court. How did you find out about that sort of trade request scenario, and how do you think that has affected the mood of the team?
Coach texted all of us in a group message and kind of told us what was going on. But I don't think it really affected our team. I mean, of course, like I said, it was a hit for us losing Chiney because she was such a great teammate and a great player as well. But ultimately, that's just the business side of the game. Like, trades happen, things happen, so you kind of gotta take it for what it is and keep playing basketball.
The Liz Cambage trade seems to now be confirmed, and you've got Imani McGee-Stafford going back to Dallas, and you've got Isabel Harrison going to Dallas, and a bunch of other picks and players. What do you make of that situation? Is it good for the league to be able to now have some clarity on that whole Liz Cambage situation?
Yeah. I guess it's better for her, so she can kindly, be, where she want to be, I guess. But, I don't really worry about those things. If they don't have nothing to do with my teammates or me, or, I don't know, I pretty much stay in my own lane and let all that stuff play itself out.
Fair enough. Well, speaking of your own lane, last year you averaged, I think it was the third highest points on the team, the highest scorer on the team last year. Chiney, as we discussed, has moved on now, so I imagine your workload is possibly going to increase. Are you prepared for that?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely. I think we all can score. If you look at our starting five, it was our same starting five that we had the year before she came.
Yeah.
Came back, and we had, like I said, we had a great run that year as well. So, I think it'll work out. I'm excited about having a bigger role, I guess, if that's what you want to call it.
Yeah, good. And like you said, a lot of players on that team can score. You're a pretty effective scorer yourself. But one player that I think is going to benefit most, perhaps, from a bit more of a starring role, who of course helped the team a few years ago when Chiney was out, is Jonquel Jones.
Definitely.
So how do you think? What's she thinking now going into this season? Have you spoken to her? Where's her mind at, and what's her focus going into this season?
I think. Honestly, I really haven't had a conversation with her about that exactly, but I think she knows. Everybody I talk to, I tell them I'm thinking that, if not this year, next year, year after that, JJ is gonna be the best player in the league, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. In my opinion, I think so. I think you're not gonna find many people that's 6'7", 6'7", that can handle the ball the way she does, that can shoot the ball the way she does. People in the league that you probably can name one person that's probably around 6'4". That's Elena Deladon. But other than that, who else is 6'7", 6'8", who can handle the ball and shoot threes consistently? So I think, in my opinion, like I said, JJ gonna be a problem in the next year or two. I don't really see nobody that's gonna be able to stop her.
Yeah. Well, fair enough. There are a few players like Brianna Stewart, but of course, Stewie, she's down this year. That brings up a whole sort of list of questions surrounding you guys playing all year round. I know you played. Was it in Italy this year you played?
Yeah, Italy, and then I went to Spain.
Ah, right, cool. How did you enjoy your experiences over there?
It was alright. I don't really like going overseas like that, but
no.
It's kind of what we have to do. So
would you prefer to see the WNBA, playing at different times of the year, or because there's going to be some sort of collective bargaining agreement going on at the end of this coming season? So do you think there's room for wholesale change, or are we just looking to do baby steps at this, in this collective bargaining agreement, in the sense that are we just trying to sort out things like pay, or would you prefer to see bigger infrastructure changes to the way the league is run?
Yeah, I think we need to take baby steps. I don't think everything is going to work itself out overnight or in one sit down. So I think, if we can get some key points and get those things handled, you know, and then next time around get more. Like, you know, I think it's just going to take time. And I think as we continue to grow, those things, in a sense, will kind of work itself out. Like I tell people all the time, the NBA wasn't where it's at now when it first started.
Yeah.
WNBA, you know, WNBA is, you know, it's going to take time. So I think just taking this step forward right now and us opting out and, you know, actually taking that first step, I think it'll lead to that second step, which will lead to that third step, fourth step, you know, and I think as we continue to make these steps, it'll get to where it needs to be.
That's all well and good, but when you go in throughout the season, are you concerned that perhaps if a player goes down with injury or you know, there's another travel situation like the Aces had last year, are you concerned that the collective bargaining agreement is going to become a sort of overloaded storyline and it's going to sort of distract from what you guys are putting on the court? Because as you and I know, like, the WNBA is one of the best basketball products in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But do you have any concern that this collective bargaining agreement thing is going to take over the main storylines of the season?
No, I don't think so. I think that the CBA is kind of behind the scenes type of thing. So I think people kind of know about it, but if you ask like the average person, they probably wouldn't even know what the CBA is or what it stands for. So I think I don't think it'll take away from, like you said, headlines or the actual product.
Cool, because one of your teammates, Lyshia Clarendon, she's first vice president, I think it is.
Something like that.
Have you spoken to her about it? Have you had many conversations? Like, what is she optimistic?
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, she handles she has her foot in a lot of those things, and she's very knowledgeable on those topics, and, you know, putting us WNBA players in the best position possible. So, you know, we have a lot of trust in her to, you know, make correct decisions for all of us as a whole.
Let's take a quick break from my chat with Courtney Williams to talk about our friends at the NBA Store. As Europe's official NBA online store, NBAstore.eu, it has everything you need and want to support your favourite team, from flags to socks to on-court gear. And the Double Clutch listeners, that's you guys, you get 15% off any order using the code DCPOD15. That's DCPOD15 at checkout. Now that offer excludes clearance items and outlet items and things like that, but still, all your favourite teams, what are you waiting for? Head to NBAstore.eu and use the code DCPOD15. And now, back to my conversation with Courtney Williams. You've got a couple of new players on the team, of course, the couple of awesome young prospects, including Chiney Ogwumike. What have you seen so far from her and some of the other players? That I know you've got a good core coming back this year, but what about some of the new faces on the team? Yeah,
I mean, I think they're a great group. You know, I think they're continuing to learn and digest everything, and, you know, it's tough when you're coming into, you know, a new program. Have to start meshing with different players and learning different plays and learning different terminology, especially coming from college. But I think all of our younger kids, they've been, you know, soaking in and adapting, and we've just been helping them every step of the way. So I think they're going to be good.
Have you got like high hopes for the team again this year? Like I just said at the start of the conversation, you know, you had one of the better records in the league this year, but there's a new influx of talent. LA seems to be reloading. Like I said earlier, you got Vegas with Cambage now, so there's going to be a couple of other teams that are sort of coming into the playoffs that weren't necessarily there last year. And last year's playoffs seemed to be the most competitive that, well, I think I've ever seen it, you know, with so many teams with winning records and that fight for the final place to get into the playoffs. That was right down to the wire last year. So, yeah, I guess, are you concerned with retaining your place among the elite within the league, or are you feeling confident going in?
No, I feel super confident. Our goal is to win a championship this year. We've been getting, like I said, we've been falling short every year. But I think that's all of our goal, to win a championship this year. I think we have all the pieces, and I think we all have that mindset and that mentality going into this year that we want to win a championship.
Last year, you did get knocked out by Phoenix. It was
the year before that too.
Yeah, it was a pretty tough loss, but it was pretty competitive, your matchup with Phoenix, because of course there was that whole Diana Taurasi talking about the Instagram picture that you posted and perhaps using that as motivation. So tell me for real now, did you post that as a bit of a dig at Taurasi, or was it just that you liked the picture?
No, I wasn't even thinking about. Honestly, she played for Phoenix. It could have been any Phoenix player, and I would have posted the picture just because it made sense. We playing Phoenix, it's playoff time. I'm looking through my gallery of Phoenix players, so why not? It makes sense. If you look back on my Instagram, I made Penny posts about, it's game day, but I think it's good for the game. It don't bother me none. I'm all for it. People like to see drama. They like drama. So, if that's going to bring the drama, it's going to bring the fans, then why not? I don't take none of that personal. I'm all for it. We can make some storylines.
That's cool. No, because I think if I ask Taurasi the same thing, I can't put words in her mouth. I've never spoken to her, but I imagine she enjoys the sort of competitive spirit and the fun storylines just as much as
definitely.
Because you spent a year with her, didn't you? You were a rookie. Yeah. So what's your relationship like these days? Obviously, aside from the competitive nature that it was last year, have you spoken to her since her back surgery?
Oh no, I haven't spoken to her, but every time I see her, she always giving me a little advice and tell me that she happy for the things that I've been accomplishing and the way that I've been playing. So it's always love every time I see it or I talk to DT.
Cool, that's good to hear, because just while I was researching to chat to you today, it felt like you had a lot of respect for her when you were on the same team and you sort of looked up to her. And I saw you posting a picture of Cappy Pondexter as well the other day, and it seems like you've got a lot of love for the great players in this league, and you know your history in this league. When did you first start growing up and sort of trying to tune into the WNBA?
To be honest, I couldn't even tell you. I don't even want to just give you something just to say, but I honestly don't know. I think going into, I don't even want to tell you because I honestly don't even know. I don't know.
Fair enough. You must have been picking the ball up at a young age. You've got some of the best handles in the league, I reckon. Like I said earlier, you can be a scary scorer on time. What possessed you to pick up the ball when you were younger? What was inspiring you?
I think just being around in the neighborhood. My dad bought me a basketball goal, and that's all we did every day after school. We would go outside and, all the boys would come over and, I wanted to compete with the boys. I'm a girl, so ultimately, you have to bring that extra oomph if you're competing against guys. So I think just wanting to be able to be as good as those guys just always fired me up and always just kept me going and kept that competitiveness about myself, just always playing against guys.
I don't think the WNBA is as big as the NBA in terms of the international scale and things like that, but women's basketball does seem to be growing at quite an alarming rate in the past few years, I reckon. Especially the international game. I think that there are some things to sort out with the WNBA as we discussed earlier, but it's the thing that I think is going to help the WNBA this year. For example, your first game against the Mystics of the actual season, that's going to be shown on Twitter. What do you think about the games being shown on social media now? Do you think that's going to help, or do you think it's devaluing the game? What's your take on it?
No, I think it's amazing, honestly. It's the year of the millennium, so nobody really even watch TV anymore. If you look at anybody, they always have their phone in their hand, and it's because they're on Instagram. They're on some sort of social media platform. So I think bringing our game to Twitter was probably one of the best decisions that the league made because, like I said, we trying to reach out to different people. And like I said, everyone always has a phone in their hand. So I think, like I said, bringing the game to social media was probably one of the best decisions that was made.
I know you enjoy your time on social media as well. I mean, that's how we connected. So I really appreciate you. I really appreciate you getting back to me on Twitter. But
oh yeah, for sure.
I know we spoke briefly about you playing overseas, but following on from sort of the discussion about the growth of the game internationally, where do you see the game like in Italy and in Spain in comparison to the US? Well, what's the respect level like for the women's game over here or over in Europe?
I mean, honestly, I think if I'm being completely honest, it's unmatched. Overseas, they really appreciate the women's basketball game overseas. I think, and I'm not saying that to say that over here in the United States, that it ain't your fans that appreciate the game, because of course it is that, but you also have this big group of people who love to say go get back in the kitchen or go do this and go do that. You don't never hear anything like that overseas. Never.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like if you make a post, like WNBA page can make a simple post and it's always gonna be one or two or three people saying they need to go get back in the kitchen and this is that and the third, which is crazy because like dang, we in America, we can't even get love from our people.
Yeah. But
we go overseas and it's fans lined up and stands sold out, and just where they just love the game. So I don't know, honestly, I don't even know where the disconnect is or why it's such a big gap or big difference in the fan base between being overseas and being in states. I couldn't even tell you why it's like that, but it definitely is like that.
Yeah. It is a real shame because I was trying to get into a conversation on Twitter with someone the other day and we were sort of trying to figure out what would be the best product, if all things were equal, if there was equal pay, equal length of season, that sort of thing, would it be the WNBA or would it be EuroLeague? To me, personally, I think it's pretty close because I think you've got some European players who don't even think of setting foot in the WNBA, because they're playing in their home country and stuff. It's the same as you going over to Europe. You want to play in your home country. You'd prefer to do that. So there's some European players who don't even look at playing in the W, and their talent level is crazy good. But at the same time, I do think actually if all things were equal, I think the talent level and the product, I think the WNBA would probably edge all of the women's leagues in the world. It is a shame that you guys have to come over to Europe, but I mean, speaking as a biased European, I mean, I'm pretty happy that you guys get to come over and I get to see you guys putting on a show. So it's always appreciated over here. But I guess I've sort of come to the end of most of the questions, but one thing I did want to ask is in the past few days we've seen that the WNBA has got a brand new leader. This is no longer the president. We've got WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert. I just wanted to get a brief take. Do you know much about it? Do you know much about the position? Has there been much communication to you from the Players Association or the league at large? What's your views on it not just being WNBA president anymore, but a WNBA commissioner?
Oh, to be honest with you, and I'm just completely honest, I do not really even know much about it. I've seen it.
Yeah.
I probably seen the same post that you've seen, but I don't know who that is. I'm sure I'll meet her. You know. So I mean, I don't know much about that.
It must be refreshing though to actually have some clarity now, because the position right at the top of the WNBA has been vacant for a little while. Was that frustrating as a player? Because were you concerned that stuff wasn't going to get done, or was it something?
Nah, I wasn't concerned at all. We have a great group of players who, sit down in meetings and make sure things get handled for all the players as a whole. NECA, Chi, Laser, like you said earlier, and a couple other players. So those things not too concerning for me.
Fair enough. No, you're just here to hoop, right?
Yeah. All right. I throw in my 2 cents every now and again.
No, that's cool. Well, I mean, I'm looking forward to watching you play this year. Like I said, it's great to have someone at your level joining us on the podcast. It's a real honor, and I appreciate you giving the time to us. That was Courtney Williams of the Connecticut Sun. Big thanks to her for spending the time with us. Make sure that you check in with some of our other shows. Some of them are actually out of date now because of all these trades that's been going on with Amani McGee-Stafford and Isabel Harrison, all involved in that Dallas Wings trade for Liz Cambage and the Aces. It got crazy this past few the past few days and the past week or so. But make sure you do stay locked on to the Double Clutch website and also onto the Double Clutch WNBA podcast, because we will be continuing this throughout the season. But also, guys, we are dropping this week the WNBA season guide. So make sure you visit doubleclutch.uk to check out in-depth analysis of every single team and how they're going to get on this year. We've really put a lot of work into it, and we're really proud of what we've achieved. So please go and support that by checking it out and clicking on all the different teams and making sure that you get brushed up on who to be supporting and who you're going to be following this year. That's all for today, guys, but please make sure you also head over to any social media platforms and give us a share, give us a like. Any podcast platforms, maybe post a comment. We do keep track of those comments. We try to respond to them when we can. And give us a 5-star rating. We're working really hard over here, guys. I think you really need to show some love and show some appreciation. But that is everything. Make sure if you are buying anything from nbastore.eu to use the code DCPOD15 at the discount to get that 15% discount. But for now, I'll catch up with you guys on the next one.